Hi friends, it's day 2 of sculpture week. Today we are going to make our own clay, and before I even tell you what you're going to need, I gotta tell you, this is my second time making this video today. The first video was great. It was really good. But after the video was done, I made 2 different kinds of clay, and one worked great. It was wonderful. Felt good to work with. You could mold it. Great. The other one was just like a rock. So I couldn't give you that. So I'm doing it again. And hopefully this time the clay will be great. And this time I'm just going to do the one recipe so that I don't give you a recipe that doesn't work. Oh gosh. Sorry everybody. So you're going to need salt, vegetable oil, flour, and water. That's it to make the clay. So if you want to gather your materials, I will be here when you return. Okay, ready to get started? Let's do it. So, you'll also need a bowl. I am going to tell you how much of everything I'm putting in while I do it, but do not worry. If you need it written down, I'll put it in like underneath the video, and it'll be in the newsletter today, so you'll be set. So your first thing is you're going to measure a cup of flour. Okay. And it doesn't have to be super exact, that's okay. And you're going to measure a ½ cup of salt. I think that I have a ½ cup in here, but because I've made this recipe 2 times now today, I'm getting a little low on salt. Okay, perfect. Just enough. Okay. And then, oh gosh, I didn't bring anything to mix with. I'm gonna mix with my hand. Okay, so you're gonna mix those 2 together, the salt and the flour, just until they're kind of combined. And then you'll add 2 tablespoons, no, 1 tablespoon of your vegetable oil. Just kind of drizzle it in there. And then you're gonna add about ½ cup of water. You can see I have a little more than ½ cup in here, just in case I needed a little extra. Sometimes you do. So I'm gonna leave some of it in here. And then I'm gonna mix it with my hand. I gotta tell you, while I'm mixing this, when I made this same video earlier, the other clay recipe I used, you had to cook it, and so I made it on the stove. And so in that video you got to see my kitchen, which is currently a mess, but maybe at the very end of this I'll give you a little sneak peek of my messy, half-painted kitchen if you want. Okay, so you can see this is kind of goopy. It's not totally combined yet. Probably be easier with a spoon. But okay, now it's like mostly combined. It's like kind of sticky cookie dough. That's what it feels like. And I would know because I made cookies today. All right, so I'm gonna take it out of my bowl. Just gonna dump it on the table. And let me see if I can make it so you can see that better. Okay. And so I'm gonna just kind of knead it. I'm gonna squish it with my hands and flip it over on itself and fold it. It's kind of like if you've made bread before, which I'm sure most of you probably have. It's like that. You're gonna knead the dough, or the clay in this case, until it's kind of smooth. You don't want it to be sticky like this. See, you can see how it's really sticking to my fingers. You don't want it to stick to you. And sometimes it takes a few minutes, but that's okay. This kind of feels like I'm on my own cooking show. Next, you'll knead your dough until it's smooth and elastic. Then you let it rise. Just kidding. You don't have to let your clay rise. But I do think it would be fun to have my own cooking show. Even though I like to cook and I like to bake, but I'm not an expert. Okay, so this is, I don't know if you can tell in the video, I think you probably can. It's getting a lot smoother and a lot easier to work with. So I'm gonna just do this a couple more times and it's really ready to go. So at this point, if you want, you could add food coloring or liquid watercolor if you have those. So if you wanted to make this like 3 different colors, you could just, I'm making a mess, you could just break it into 3 balls, add a few drops of your color and mix it in. I prefer to leave it white, and then once you have made something and let it air dry for a few days until it's like all the way dry, then you can paint it. And I kind of prefer that for this. So this is ready to go, but it's still a little squishy. As it sits, it's gonna get a little less squishy. So I'm gonna take the dough I made earlier, or the clay I made earlier. First I'm gonna wipe my hand off because it's still kind of sticky. And I'm gonna show you some ideas for what you could make with your new air dry clay. I will tell you, this clay, it doesn't last a super long time. It's not like store-bought air dry clay that you can keep for months. So you want to use it within the first few days of making it. If you don't, you can try putting it in the fridge, and that'll keep it from like getting funky and stinky. But it may still be a little harder to work with. So I'm going to show you 2 different options for things you could make with this. So first I'm going to make a ball, and I'm going to turn it into a pinch pot, which I know at least some of you have made with me. So I'm going to make a hole in the middle with my thumb, boop, like a little donut, and then I'm just going to use my fingers to squish the sides until I have the shape that I want. So if you could keep it kind of this shape, and you could make it a little like votive candle holder, like the downstairs made for the harvest feast. Or you can kind of stretch it out a little more and make like a little bowl for your rings or your treasures that you find, or your allowance, your quarters go in here. And then of course you can add color once it dries and make it something really beautiful. So, and if you want to do something like this, if you're using it when it's still pretty squishy, you may want to let it dry like on an upside down cup or bowl, so it just kind of keeps its shape a little better. This isn't exactly the right size, but so if I let this dry on here, when it's mostly dry, and I can take it off and it will have kept its shape. I'm gonna just smooth the bottom down a little so it's flat. Looks kind of funny like this, but can make a beautiful little bowl. And then the next thing I want to show you is another very simple thing to make. So I'm going to make another ball. I'm going to try to get this one pretty round and smooth. And I'm going to use my rolling pin to roll it out flat. I want to try and keep the kind of circular shape. Okay, so once I have that circular shape, let me peel it up so you can see. Just a little flat-ish circle. It's about 1/4 of an inch thick if you want to measure. I am gonna reach over here and grab a pen. I'm gonna use this to make a little hole in the top, because I am imagining this could be, I'm gonna say an ornament, but I don't mean like for a Christmas tree, but it could be something that just like hangs on the wall. It's still sort of floppy, so So I'm gonna do that part. And then I picked these little flowers from my backyard. I don't know what they are. I bet Evan knows. Let's see if I can make it. There you go. So I'm gonna take these and I'm gonna just lay them here. I'm gonna press them in to my clay and try to get kind of their impression in the clay. And then once I think that they've left their print, well, this one didn't really. Let me push it a little more. I'm gonna remove a couple of the leaves too. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna use the rolling pin. Oh, except, no, it's not a circle anymore. That's okay. So, once you have your little leafy prints, clearly mine is not a circle anymore, but that is fine. And my hole disappeared, so I'm going to make a new hole. But after you have your print in and your hole, you can just let this dry somewhere flat. And then once it's done drying, I'm going to go back with a little paint to add some color to those lines so they really show up more like probably the colors of the flowers themselves. So, oh gosh. So a little green for the stem and some purple where the little flowers were. And then you have a really cool little nature print that you could hang up. You could tie some string through the hole and have a beautiful little medallion to hang from your wall. That is it. I'll have some more ideas of things you can make with your clay in the newsletter today. And I hope you have enjoyed Sculpture Week. Bye, friends.